what my wires are doing. What is this? This is crazy. Anyway, hello. If anyone's here, hello. How is everyone today? My gosh, this window's still open. Hold on, can you hear the birds outside? 1 second, let me go close the window there. 1 second. Close this so we don't hear any of the birds. Come here. Russell's here, listen to him. He's got the loudest purrs. He's a good boy. Okay. Do you want to go outside, Russ? I think he wants to go outside. All right. One more second, guys. Hello, Juicebox Fairy. Gosh, what was your actual name? It was Bocce, right? Hello. Let me go let him out. He's at the door now. 1 second. Okay. Come here. Come. Go outside. Go outside. Okay. Bye, Russ. All right. Bocce, yes. Hello. Gosh, why is this so twisted? I don't know. This is so chaotic. I'm so sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trivia. How's everyone today? Gosh, there we go. Not a fun person says, hey girl, just watch the Chechnya video. Thank you. I hope you guys liked it. I worked really hard on that video. I was really stressed about how to do a relaxing video about Chechnya. It was very difficult and I stressed out about it a lot, but it's done and I'm glad you guys get to see it. I think I did a good job, at least the best I could do. Been a busy day, find a little time for self-care. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. All my videos are relaxing. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to do something a little different today. I checked out this book from my library, Incredible History Trivia. Thank you, not a fun person. So this is facts and quizzes. So I'm going to be reading to you some random facts from history, and then there will be random questions throughout. So, shall we get started? Guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up too. I would appreciate that very, very much because that will help spread this video on YouTube while it's live and get more people in here to hang out with us and do some fun trivia. I'd appreciate that. So our first topic is inventions. There's a little fact to start. It says, did you know inventing the skateboard was a group effort? In the 1950s, surfers in California were looking for a way to enjoy their sport when there were no waves. They slapped wheels from roller skates onto wooden boards and started surfing the sidewalks. And presto, the skateboard was born. That's so interesting. All right, so here is our first question. Can you guess what Nestle paid the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie for the rights to her recipe? What did Nestle pay the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie in exchange for the recipe? Take a guess. What did Nestle pay the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie? Give me a guess, I'll give you a hint. There is an A, B, C, and D. Say in the millions. Is Nestle Swiss? Yes, it is, Knight. Also, hello, welcome. Not in the millions. Not in the millions. Give me one more guess. I'll give you a really good hint. If you see my second channel, Miss Geo Whispers, my last video was on Switzerland, and I did a little thing about Nestle, how they're a Swiss company, but almost all the employees aren't in Switzerland. 5,000, here is your hint, They did not pay money. They did not pay money. They bartered. They exchanged an item, not money. She probably should have taken money. I would have rather had money than what they gave her. Wow. Yes. While you guys are brainstorming what Nestle could have paid the inventor of chocolate chip cookies, I'll read you a little hint here. A little fact here. It says the inventor of the waterbed couldn't get a patent on it because it had already been featured in science fiction novels. Wow. My parents had a waterbed when I was growing up, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But she did deserve millions. Yes, she most certainly did. But she was given I guess not an item, she was given something in exchange for her recipe. What do you think it could be? Remember, this was Nestle bought the rights to chocolate chip cookies, right? Anyway, I'm trying to see if the paragraph after would give you any hints, but no. It was invented by Ruth Wakefield. What did Nestle pay Ruth Wakefield or give Ruth Wakefield in exchange for the recipe of chocolate chip cookies? Give me a guess. I'll give you a hint. Just throw a guess out there. It was chocolate. Good job. Not a fun person. They gave her a lifetime supply of Nestle chocolate. It says inventor Ruth Wakefield got paid in chocolate for her mouth-watering creation. This unusual payment left Wakefield with enough chocolate to bake her famous cookies every day if she'd wished. That's pretty rotten. All right, this next one is a year, so we'll play high and low, sooner or earlier. When was anesthetics first used during surgery? In what year were anesthetics first used? Hey, Elle, good to see you. What year were anesthetics first used in surgery? Lifetime supply should be extended to her children and grandchildren. Maybe it was. Hopefully. In what year were anesthetics first used in surgery? Give me a year and I'll tell you if it's sooner or earlier than that year. And then I'll read you some facts about it. Sometime in the 1800s, that is correct. It was in the 1800s. What year was it? What year was it? It was in the 1800s. Today's beverage is raspberry tea. And every Snapple has a fact in the lid. So let's see. You got 3 ads. I'm so sorry. 1862, 1870 was earlier than both those years, right? Yes, earlier than 1862. Let's see. Sound travels about 4 times faster in water than in air. See, I knew sound traveled faster, not 4 times faster. Yes, Night, before people would just pass out. It would be so painful they would just faint. Sounds awful. I've only ever been under anesthetics twice in my life. Once when I had appendicitis and another when I had my elbow surgery. (1845). Oh, sooner, or sorry, later. Earlier than 1845. But you're awfully close. Earlier than 1845. You're within 10 years. I'll give you that. Earlier than 1845. What year were anesthetics first used in surgery? I love the sound of mic brushing, you guys. That's why I have a whole second channel for mic brushing now. 1837, later than 1837. Later than 1837. You're almost there. I'm hopefully filming tonight for the second channel, and I'm going to do ear-to-ear whispers instead of mic brushing. See how much you guys like that sound, because I also love ear-to-ear. You're so close, Bocce. So close, so close. In what year were anesthetics first used in surgery? It is later than 1837, but earlier than 1845. So you guys are awfully close. Awfully, awfully, awfully close. What year was it? I'll just read you the facts now. It says Georgia doctor Crawford Long used sulfuric acid. Later than 1841. Later than 1841. Used sulfuric ether. Sorry, not acid. That's awful. Dr. Crawford Long used sulfuric ether gas to keep a patient comfortable. Not 1843. Earlier than 1843. To keep a patient comfortable in what otherwise would have been a painful operation. However, a man named William Morton is actually considered the father of anesthesia. He experimented on himself to learn how anesthetics worked. Why didn't Morton become more famous? Perhaps his experiments left him too sleepy to share his results. And it was 1842. Good job, Bocce. That was 1842 when Crawford Long used gas to keep a patient comfortable during surgery. Good job, good job, good job. We got it. Next question. It says IBM released the first one in 1994 and named it Simon. What was it? IBM released the first one in 1994 and named it Simon. What was it? And there's a picture of it, but if I show you the picture, that would spoil it. IBM. It was not a computer. Computers were before 94. But it is a technology that we have today that almost everyone utilizes every day. Put this down and get another drink. It was not AI. No, not in 1994. It's really yummy. IBM created it in 1994 and named it Simon. What was it? Created the first one in 1994. There are many around the world today, but there's only like one or two that are the most famous, like the monopolies in this product. Pretty much everyone has one today. What could it be? It doesn't give you an A, B, C, or D, or I would give you some hints. Just IBM is, gosh, I don't know what it stands for, but I know IBM is making, if I said not a laptop, it's not a PC, let's put it that way. Not a PC. But it is a form of technology that it is a type of phone, Knight. So it was a phone. What was this the first phone to have? It was a phone. I can show you the picture now after I itch my ear. Here we go. Let me cover up the next question too. Not a camera. This is Simon. I hope you can see. It was a cell phone, but it wasn't the first cell phone. What was this the first cell phone to have? Do you see it right there, Simon? Do you see his big screen? What was Simon the first cell phone to have? A screen, but what would that screen do? That all phones have today. What would you use a big screen like that for? Snake.exe. You know what, Knight? I'm going to give it to you. It was the first phone with apps. The first phone that could feature apps. How cool is that? 94. Hello, Robbie from London. Welcome, welcome. Here's one more question for you about inventions. In 1876, a pharmacist named Charles Elmer Hyers began selling a beverage he made from sarsaparilla, which is a plant root that can be used as a flavoring, vanilla beans, and other ingredients. Can you guess what he called it? Hey, Mandy J. It was not Dr. Pepper, not Coca Cola. He didn't create a brand, he created a type of drink. That Coca Cola makes this type of drink too, but it's not soda. It's root beer. Good job, Mandy J, with Bocce right behind. He invented root beer made of sarsaparilla root. All right, the next topic is wars and battles. Wars and battles. And there's a little fact here. It says in World War II, the Allies considered using poisonous snakes as weapons by airdropping them. My goodness, how would you set the machinations needed to pull that through would be really bad. All right, here's your first question about wars and battles. One battle during the Third Mithridatic War, which was between 74 and 70 BCE, ended for a strange reason. Can you guess what it was? A battle during the Third Mithridatic War ended for a strange reason. It's a loud airplane outside. I apologize for that. The airplane's kind of giving you a hint. The airplane is kind of giving you a hint. Kind of, sort of. What event happened during this battle that made it grind to a very sudden halt? And they stopped the entire battle. Give me a guess and I'll give you a hint. Just throw something out there and I'll give you a hint. There's also an A, B, C, or D. I could give you those if you need. It was not a volcano. It was an asteroid. Good job, not a fun person. A meteor landed in the battlefield. It says the fighting stopped when a meteor fell from the sky. How cool is that? I mean, I would stop what I'm doing too if a meteor landed in front of me. Good job, not a fun person. The answer was a meteor. Here. Oh, this one is a number. So we'll play high and low. The Iberian religious wars were the longest lasting series of battles in history. How many years do you think these battles went on? That's a good question because I know the year it started and the year it ended, but I have to add all that up. So let's see who gets it. How many years did the battles go on? It was more than 500 years. More than 500 years. Battling for the Iberian Peninsula. Would it be controlled by the Spaniards or the Moors from North Africa, the Christians or the Muslims? Spoiler alert, Spain won, the Spanish one. And it's still Spain today. Not the Spanish Inquisition. That would be not long after this. We are talking about when Muslims from North Africa began invading the Iberian Peninsula, pretty much conquered almost the entire thing. And then slowly but surely, the Christians pushed them back out of the Iberian Peninsula. How many years did it take for them to push them out of the Iberian Peninsula? Yes, right before Isabella. Isabella was around when they were still going on, but they ended during her reign. Like 700, 800. It is less than 800, more than 700. It is in the 700s. This is one of those like years or year facts that are just in my head, like 1066, you know? Like you could just like name it at the drop of a hat. I could tell you what year it started and ended. But then I'd have to do the math to figure out how many years that would be. And I'm not a math person. I'm a maps person. How many years did the battles on the Iberian Peninsula between the Christians and the Muslims go on for. It was more than 700, but it was less than 800. It was less than 800. I wonder if anyone wants to do the math. I could tell you the years. Whoever can do the math fastest wins. How about that? Because it's easy to remember. They started in the year 711, which is easy to remember because 711. Hey, Keela Beretta, welcome. 7-Eleven's the best convenience store and one of my favorite Beyonce songs. It started in the year 711, and then the Battle of Granada concluded the invasion of the Iberian Peninsula in 1492. And I mean, we know that's the year Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And he just happened to be in Spain because he was fighting the Battle of Granada. And he thought, while I'm here, why don't I ask the king and queen if they'll give me some ships to sail around the globe? And then they did. It was 781. Mandy J did the math. Good job. 781. Good. Mandy J and Lil J. 781 years, the longest stretch of battles in history. They really didn't like wars. I guess only conflict longer might be the Roman-Persian rivalry. Oh. A video on cute horror building community. That's excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. That is awesome. But no, that conflict is the longest in history, like actual war fighting, Roman-Persian rivalry, but Roman-Persian wars went on for stretches. Meanwhile, can you tell me what was the shortest war in history? It's another fun history fact. Let's see who knows it. What was the shortest war in history? You don't have to tell me how long it lasted, although if you do know that, you can tell me that too. But do you know which was the shortest war in history? Zanzibar. Good job. Not a fun person. It was the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896. It says, this battle began when a man named Khalid bin Bargash seized control of the throne of Zanzibar. The British demanded that he step down, and when he refused, they bombed his royal palace. Khalid fled the city 45 minutes later, ending the war. So it was only 45 minutes long when they surrendered. All right, this last one is a number. Hey, JJ, welcome. This last one is a number, and it is a percentage. So you know it's between 1 and 100, okay? It says, the War of the Triple Alliance took an enormous toll on the population of Paraguay. What percentage of Paraguay's men do you think died in the battle? Bill Wirtz, the Sultan of Oman, lives in Zanzibar now. That's true. Yeah, because Oman was once ruled from what's now Tanzania. It was more than 59%. What was the percentage of Paraguay's men who died during the War of the Triple Alliance? The Triple Alliance, of course, being Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, which I mentioned in my last Argentina video, which the Argentine viewers are crazy. My last two videos on Argentina have blown up, and it's all people from Argentina watching it. It is less than 100, Daryl. It was not all the men in Paraguay. Can you imagine how catastrophic? Less than 100. There's another little fact over here, though, just a random history fact. It says during World War II, Adolf Hitler hatched a plan to kill Winston Churchill by hiding a bomb inside chocolate. That would work for me. You would blow me up probably if I got random free chocolate. But yeah, what percentage of men in Paraguay died during the War of the Triple Alliance, which lasted from 1865 to 1870? It was more than 70%, JJ. More than 70%. More than 70. More than 70. Can you believe that? More than 75, Mandy J. Yes, it's a huge number. What percentage of Paraguay's men passed away during the War of the Triple Alliance? It's more than 75% of all the men in Paraguay. And Paraguay was a lot bigger than it is today because of the War of the Triple Alliance. They lost a lot of territory. What percentage of men in Paraguay lost their lives during the War of the Triple Alliance? It was more than 87, Night. More than 87%. Yeah, Paraguay got absolutely destroyed, like literally and figuratively, during the War of the Triple Alliance. It was 90%, JJ. Good job for that sad statistic. But you got it, JJ. It was 90% of the male population of Paraguay lost their lives. Horrible, right? Yeah, it was just absolute disaster for Paraguay. You really weren't, Daryl. You were wrong, but you were the closest for a while, weren't you? Oh my gosh, that's so sad. The next category I have is called fighting for rights. Fighting for rights. And there's a fact here I'll read to you before we start. It says in 1977, hundreds of people with disabilities staged sit ins at U.S. health, education, and welfare offices. They were protesting for disability rights. Many of these sit ins lasted for a day or even two, but the San Francisco sit in lasted longer, much longer. Protesters in that city kept up their sit in for nearly a month. For many protesters, the extended sit in meant going without personal care attendants and medical equipment. The protest still stands out in history as an example of tremendous personal sacrifice. Wow, that's wild. That's a long sit in. And way to go, San Francisco. First question is, do you know why it's called a strike when employers stop working to force an employer to meet their demands? Why do they call it a strike? Why is it called a strike? Give me a guess and I will give you a hint. Why is it called a strike? Hey, Mina Katzen. Hello, hello. It has nothing to do with matches, JJ. It does come from a term for to strike, but it's not from matches. It goes back to 1768. But if I read you any more of the hints, it's going to give it away. Nothing to do with iron, but it does have to do with a trade. The employees were in a certain trade. Yeah, I never thought about that either, huh, Daryl? I know the story of Boycott because there was an Irish landlord whose last name was Boycott, and everyone in his property just decided to not pay rent because it was too high. Bye, not a fun person. Thank you so much for coming and playing some trivia with us. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, of course there was a working class in the 1700s. There were like trade guilds and such. Not blacksmiths, not blacksmiths. This is an industry that has to do with trade. I don't know how to say it without giving it away. An industry that has to do with trade, especially international trade. So how would people do international trade in 1768? Ships. There you go. I'll give that to you, JJ. Hey, Ekrem. Welcome, welcome. It says it goes back to 1768 when English sailors were angry over a wage cut. The sailors reacted by taking down or striking the sails on the ships in port. From then on, any stoppage of work to protest working conditions became known as a strike. Isn't that cool? I had no idea. I totally learned that. Here's some U.S. history for you, and I have to rephrase this because the question totally gives it away. On March 2nd, 1955, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin bravely did this. What was it that she did? This has to do with U.S. history, 1955. And it was a form of protest because this category is fighting for rights. What did Claudette Colvin do? I should say that not long after that, someone else did this thing, and it was way more famous, like studied in school. But Claudette Colvin was the first one to do it. And it is a form of protest. What could it be? Think of your American history, the 1955 protest history. Sit at the front of the bus. Good job, JJ. She refused to move to the back of a segregated bus. Good job, JJ. She did that 9 months before Rosa Parks did. Let's see who knows this one. The women's rights movement of the 19th century launched a new fashion when activists began wearing knee-length skirts and pantaloons gathered at the ankle. These didn't just look stylish, they made it much easier for women to get around than the more typical bulky hoop skirts. What was the new style of clothing called? And there's a picture of them here. I'll cover this up so you can see. What were these called? These were invented apparently for women protesting for their rights. Could do so more easily without wearing big old skirts. Not a shirtwaist, Mandy J. These are pantaloons gathered at the ankle. What are they called? They're still, this term is still kind of used today, but people obviously don't really wear these today, do they? Not capris. That's what they're called. I'm wearing capris right now, but no, they're not pants. They're underwear. They go under the dresses. Under knee-length skirts, I suppose. Hey, Alex. I'm sorry you can't stay, but it is good to see you. Welcome, welcome. They are pantaloons gathered at the ankle. They are bloomers. Good job, Mandy J. They're called bloomers. It says, the style was shocking to many who were used to seeing women in longer, more traditional skirts. And there's one more little fact down here. It says, one of the most famous speeches in U.S. history is Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Did you know that King put away his written speech before he was done and improvised his talk's powerful ending? That was all improvised. That's crazy. Alex has been a member for almost 2 years. That is absolutely wild. I can't believe it's that long. I can't believe it's that long. All right, this whole category is numbers. So we are going to play some number games. I'm going to give you a fact. You have to give me the number associated with it. So here is, and round them up. Don't get specific. They're all rounded, okay? The first one is number of people who watched the last episode of the TV show MASH, which aired in 1983. It was the most watched show in history until the Super Bowl in 2010 attracted even more viewers. It is more than 66 million, JJ. More than 66 million. A lot more than 66. It is in the millions. I'll give you that. But more than 66. Let me put this down. This is so yummy. We've had issues. Oh, it's more than 80 million, but less than 250 million. Oh, more than 80, less than 250. Our water main in our housing area broke the other day. So we didn't have water for almost the entire day. Less than 150 million, Mandy J. But more than 80, right? So you guys are getting there. So we ran out to the store and got bottles of water, and we got these Snapples just so we wouldn't be drinking the water. We're saving the water like for the cats or for cooking, you know. They're really good. Less than 115. You don't need to say million. We know it's in the millions. It is fixed now. Apparently they're going to shut it off for a few hours today for something or other. So I'm making bolognese tonight, so I have a pot of water already on the stove for the noodles. Just in case it's not back on by the time it's time to make dinner after I do this trivia. But it's pretty much all fixed now. Nowadays, if any show had that kind of viewership, the producers would never end the show. Isn't that true? Like, oh, Elle, you are so close. Slightly more than 105. You almost hit the nail on the head there. More than 105 million. Less than 107, though. Who's going to get it first? Elle did. 106 million people watched the finale of MASH. Good job, Elle. 106 million. All right. This next fact is, oh, I know, Daryl. Boy, it's going to be so good. This is the reign of Sobhuza II, king of Swaziland, who ruled longer than any modern monarch. He died in 1982. I say Swaziland because that was what it was called when he was king of it. How long was he king of Swaziland? And go ahead and round up in years because it says blank years and 254 days. So we'll just round it up to the next one. Hi, Henderson. Hey, Anderson. It is more than 78. More than 78 years. The longest ruler of any modern monarch. More than 78 years. Less than 86. Less than 86 years. Yes, Knight, isn't that wild? He must have been crowned when he was like 4 years old or something. Something like that. It's less than 86, more than 75. The next question is about the shortest reign. So is 80, you know what? I'll give you that, L. 82 years and 254 days. I would have accepted 83 because that's close enough, but 82 years and a bit of change. He was king of Swaziland. Now, can you tell me the shortest reign held jointly by King Louis Antoine, who ever so briefly ruled France in 1830, and Louis Philippe, who technically reigned over Portugal as king after his father was assassinated in 1908, but quickly succumbed to wounds he suffered in the attack against his dad. So there are two monarchs who reigned for this very short amount of time. I guess that last one is a hint because he succumbed to wounds that also killed his father. How long is the shortest reign of any monarch in history? Thank you, Anderson, I guess. It was less than 1 hour, Knight. Less than 1 hour, so definitely less than 10 days. It was less than 1 hour, Daryl. Less than an hour. How long was the shortest reign of any monarch in history? Tied with a king of France and a king of Portugal. It is more than 10 minutes. More than 10 minutes. I don't think 0 minutes counts. Unless it was a few seconds, but it's more than 10 minutes, but less than an hour. And again, we're rounding up, so don't be like 10.26. Like it's nothing like that. It's all whole numbers, okay? It's all whole numbers. More than 10 minutes, less than 1 hour. How long was the shortest reign of a monarch in history? What are we doing? What time is it? Oh, wow. Less than 35 minutes. So more than 10, less than 35. I wonder what happened to Louis Antoine in 1830. Less than 25 minutes. Less than 25 minutes, but more than 10. We're getting there. We're getting there. We are getting there. Well, the next one's about the Titanic. And you know that's my love. Titanic. These are from JJ. My Titanic postcards. Less than 17 minutes, Knight. Speaking of, I'm going to try to film it tonight, a postcard video for you guys on Saturday. I will try. Thanks, JJ. We'll see how it goes tonight, if I'm able to film a postcard video. Less than 13 minutes, but more than 10. So no. I'm so wrong. It was more than 17, more than 13. I'm so sorry. I'm not a numbers person. There's more than 17, less than 25. I am so sorry. There we go. Slightly less than 21 minutes. Slightly less than 21. We're almost there. Who's going to get it? No more numbers, says JJ. We'll do one more. We'll do the Titanic one. More than 19. More than 19. It is 20. Good job, Elle. 20 minutes is the shortest reign of a monarch in history. All right, we'll do one more number one because JJ says no more. Can you tell me how many passengers and crew survived the sinking of the Titanic? About 1,500 died. How many people survived the Titanic? How many people survived the Titanic? It's more than 300, thankfully. More than 300. Ooh, next one's ancient history. That's fun. And some of these are kind of easy. I knew these ones. More than 300. I like the numbers one because it's possible to work it out even if you don't know exactly. That's what I figured. What director of photography? What does that mean? How many people survived the Titanic? It is less than 800. That's so sad. Less than 800, more than 300. How many people survived the Titanic? Which Titanic Day is coming up soon, you guys, next week. It sank on the 15th, early in the morning. So the cinematographer survived? Okay. It is more than 600. More than 600, less than 800. And I have that right, I promise. More than 600, less than 800. It is more than 666, but less than 742. We're getting closer. Less than 742, more than 666. Slightly less than 711 people. You're very close, Elle. You're almost there. Slightly less than 711 people survived at the Titanic. Slightly less than 707. Oh, you're so close. It is more than 677. I'll tell you, it is in the 700s. How about that? It is in the 700s. More than 701, Tom. More than 702. Here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. More than 703. We're so close. Who's going to get it? 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 More than 703. Who's it going to be? I do have live chat on, yeah. We're going to do one more number one because this one I think someone can guess easily. And one more number one after this because it's kind of silly. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? We're right there, guys. Who wants it? Who wants this win? How many people survived the Titanic? It is more than 703, less than 707. 704 is so close, Angeline. So close, so close, so close, so close. Oh, Daryl's trying to do 6-7. It was not 6-7. It was 705. Good job, Angeline. 705 people managed to survive the Titanic. 1,500 did not. That's so sad. Okay, your last number. I swear this is the last number because this one's kind of silly. The number of tricycles owned by Queen Victoria. That's okay, Angeline. You got it. Number of tricycles owned by Queen Victoria. In the mid-1800s, tricycles were not only for children. They were much bigger then and were ridden mostly by wealthy adults who could afford to buy recreational items. It is less than 5, JJ. Less than 5. That's why I picked this one. What is 6-7? What is a 6-7 meme? It is a Gen Alpha meme, and it will take a while to explain. It is less than 3, Angeline. It is more than 1. More than 1. Less than 3. 2. Good job, Angeline. She owned 2 tricycles. All right, let's move on to ancient history. And none of these are numbers, don't you worry. It says, what were Aztec human sacrifice victims offered just before the sacrificial killing happened? Angeline's on fire. Angeline using process of elimination. It comes from a song and a basketball meme that spiraled out of control. It was not last words. This was something this is something that the Aztec invented that is very commonplace. In fact, we have it here in my house right now. I won't tell you where it is. And maybe I'll tell you in a minute where it is in the house. This was something the Aztecs invented. They did not invent salt. It's pretty strange, but they offered this to victims just before they whacked them. I hope this doesn't get partially demonetized with all of the death. It wasn't a meal, but it was edible. It was hot chocolate. Good job, Angeline. A cup of hot chocolate. It says, perhaps the Aztecs believed that there was truly no situation that couldn't be made better with chocolate. That's silly, but yeah, they used chocolate as currency, so they would liquefy it to be fancy. So it was like they got one taste of like the king's bounty before losing their lives. Yes, it was a food. Good job. Good job. I knew this one. Let's see who else knows this one. In 1991, a 5,300-year-old mummy was found frozen in the Alps. Otzi the Iceman had 61 of these on him. What was it? What did Otzi the Iceman have 61 of? Otzi the Iceman, the oldest true crime case. It was thankfully not teeth, and it was not coins. It's not something that you can carry. Does anyone watch Mini Minute Man? I'll tell you why I said that after we say the answer. Not acupuncture marks night, but you are on the right track. It was on his body. It wasn't acupuncture, though. What was it? Not wounds, not scars, not broken bones. Oh my gosh, can you imagine having 61 broken bones? Yikes, yikes, yikes. They were not wounds. And scars is also sort of kind of on the right track, but it's not a scar, it's tattoos. Good job, JJ. Tattoos. It says the ink may have been part of a pain treatment for the Iceman, or perhaps ancient people just liked to sport tattoos for decoration, much as many modern people do. Yeah, Mini Minute Man. You should all watch his channel. It's an amazing archaeology channel. He went and got all the tattoos on his body, all the same tattoos as Otzi. That's amazing. I'm kind of low-key jealous. When did the Iceman live? It says he was 5,300 years old when he was murdered. This next one is also about the Aztecs. It says ancient Aztecs were fond of popcorn. Can you guess what they did with it? Hint, they did not eat it, apparently. What did they use popcorn for in ancient Mexico? There's lots of other little facts here, like legendary Viking ruler Ragnar Lodbrok, nicknamed Hairy Breeches thanks to the hair-covered pants he wore on a trip to Sweden to court his second wife, was killed by being thrown into a pit of snakes by his enemies. They might have put salt on it, but they didn't. Apparently, they didn't eat popcorn. I'm sure they ate popcorn. But what were the Aztecs? What did the Aztecs like to do? Elle's very proud. It was not used for animal feed, not to soak water. They made something out of popcorn. Kind of like, I want to say I did this in Girl Scouts too. Pretty sure I did this in Girl Scouts. I have a vague memory of it. I have very vague memories of Girl Scouts. They made necklaces out of them. Good job, JJ. They made necklaces out of popcorn. All right, this next one is presidential history. Presidential history. There's a little fun fact here that says President Abraham Lincoln used to hide important documents inside his hat. All right. These are okay. One of them is a percentage. Oh, I don't really like that one. It was how many Americans can name the first 4 presidents? Like what percentage of Americans? Necklaces are kind of like curtains for the human body. That is true. The other 2 are which of these is not? Should I make a poll? I'll come back to this one. This one is food. Food. Let's see. Oh, how about this? Oh, Francis is here from Porto. Hello. It says, the idea might bug you, but about 2 billion people on Earth eat these regularly. It says, the idea might bug you, but about 2 billion people on Earth eat these regularly. What is it? Ants, bugs? Yes, I'll give that both to you. It's just insects, is the answer. It says eating bugs can come with some nutritional benefits. Insects can be very high in protein, vitamins, and fiber. Another question on here says, it has been a well-loved, inexpensive meal since its invention in Italy in the 18th century, and Italian immigrants popularized it in the United States in the early 20th century. Can you name this original fast food? What food are they describing? It's not pasta. It's pizza. Good job, Elle. Pizza. My favorite food. The rest on here is just facts. Oh, okay. This one is going to be super hard. Do you guys want to do the super hard one? Pizza is pretty recent, yeah. Let's go, says Francis. Okay. This topic is famous last words. I'm going to give you a hint about this person and their last words, and you have to tell me who said it. This first one is a very famous author. Very, very famous author. He died on July 7th, 1930, and he said to his wife, "You are wonderful." That's sweet. Famous author. Male, died on July 7th, 1930. He said to his wife, "You are wonderful." Another little hint will be he wrote a very famous anthology. It was not Hemingway. Was Ernest Hemingway married? I always kind of saw him as a loner. He had all those cats and stuff. He wrote a very famous series with a very famous main character who is incredibly still popular today. You know this author. At least you know the character. You know this fictional character that this author created. Did he write things about love? No, he wrote mysteries. He wrote mysteries. They were not very romantic. It was Arthur Conan Doyle. Good job, Angeline. That was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's last words. You are wonderful. This next one is a very famous singer. He died on August 16th, 1977, and he said, "I'm going to the bathroom to read." Those were his last words. Very famous singer who died on August 16th, 1977, and it was Elvis. Good job, JJ. Who knows if those were his last words, and he was definitely not going to read, but good job, JJ. It was Elvis. Right, Knight? You always think it was because Sherlock Holmes was set in the 1800s, but he wrote them in the 20th century, right? This is a very famous comedian, and he died on July 27th, 2003. When his wife asked where he wanted to be buried, he said, "Surprise me." Very famous comedian, died in 2003. When his wife asked, "Where would you like to be buried?" he said, "Surprise me." Oh, not John Candy, not George Carlin. Not this person died of very old age. His was a very, very old man. So they were able to, ask him on his deathbed, "Where would you like to be buried?" And of course he said, "Surprise me." This was a very famous comedian in like the 1940s and 1950s, maybe even 1930s. My Twitter name, I do not have Twitter anymore. I used to. I got Twitter in 2007. I'd been on Twitter since 2007, and it was such a delightful platform, but I wiped my account and deleted it in 2024 because it was unusable. It was absolutely unusable. It was full of ads, and it was just a mess. Not Charlie Chaplin. Not Charlie Chaplin. Not Charlie Chaplin. Not someone I associate with movies, although he did host the Oscars a few times. Actually, I think he has the record for the most Oscar hosts, actually. If you know your Oscar history, you know who that is. I believe he has the record for the most times hosting the Oscars. And that would be in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It was Bob Hope. Good job, JJ. Those were Bob Hope's last words. All right, this person is a very, very famous figure from the European side. I was about to give you an American. All right. Oh, well, I'm going to give this to you anyway. Very famous person from American history. She died on March 10th, 1913, and her last words were, "Swing low, sweet chariot." I assume she sang it, right? That'll give you a hint about this person's history. Incredibly famous person in US history. She died in 1913. She was also extremely old. She was in her 90s. She died in 1913. And she was very old. And she sang "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot" as her last words. It was Harriet Tubman. Good job, Lewis. Or is it Louis or Lewis? Let me know. Yes, that was Harriet Tubman's last words. All right, this one's a little different. How about this? This is also U.S. history. I'm sorry. This is the the last words of John Sedgwick as Confederate troops were advancing some distance away during the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse during the American Civil War. He said they couldn't hit an elephant at this distance. And then what happened to him? I guess that kind of gives it away. They couldn't hit an elephant at this distance. And then what immediately happened to him? Unfortunate, but yeah. Luigi, Ludwig Louis, the same name. Boom, smoked him. Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll call you Luigi then. Okay, one last one. Yeah, Francis, I have the smartest viewers on YouTube. If you want to become one of those smartest people, just hit subscribe. One more very, very, very famous singer. He's actually not American. He said to his son as he was dying on May 11th, 1981, "Money can't buy life." He said to his son, who is also a musician currently, as he died on May 11th, 1981, he said, "Money can't buy life." He was not American. Very famous musician. If I told you what style of music he did, it would absolutely give it away because he was like the most famous musician of this genre. Italian or Spanish? Neither. Type of music, Francis? If I say it, I would give it away. If I said this type of music, it would give it away. Reggae. He's not German. It was Bob. Yes, Bob Marley. Good. Francis got that first with Luigi and Angelina right behind. It was Bob Marley. All right, this next category is disasters and accidents. Disasters and accidents. Can you tell me in which country was the deadliest earthquake of modern times? It was in 1976. And what country was it? You don't have to give me the... Not Japan. Hey, DR, welcome, welcome. In which country was the deadliest earthquake of modern times? This occurred in 1976. It killed between 240,000 and 650,000 people. I'm lagging. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about that. It was not South Korea. It was not Chile. Chile was the biggest, but not deadliest. Where was the deadliest? Did I say deadliest? I hope so. The deadliest earthquake in modern history. It was not Peru. It was China. Good job to Tom. It was in Tangshan, China, about 68 miles east of Beijing. Yes, whole town wiped out. That is true. All right, this one's a number. Let's do another number. It says in 1896, a woman named Bridget Driscoll was walking through London when she was struck and killed by an automobile, becoming the world's first victim of a fatal car accident. A witness described the car as traveling at a tremendous pace. How fast was the car going? It gives the answer in miles and kilometers, so I will accept either one. Just make sure you tell me which one it was. It's less than 20 miles per hour, less than 20 kilometers, less than 10 kilometers, less than 10 miles per hour. Yeah, less than 17, less than 15 kilometers per hour, less than 8 miles per hour. More than 5 kilometers, actually. More than 5 kilometers per hour. Less than 7 miles per hour. This is complicated. So more than 5 kilometers, but less than 7, less than 10 kilometers. It was 4 miles per hour, which is 6 kilometers per hour. Good job to Luigi. 4 miles per hour. It says you may not believe it, but it's 4 miles or 6 kilometers per hour. This speed probably seemed tremendous indeed to those who were used to moving only as fast as their feet could carry them. Yeah, that's true. That's so unfortunate. Being the first person. Someone has to be the first. Yeah, what a pace. Tremendous pace. Can you tell me which country was the deadliest blizzard of modern times? I'm sorry, not all time. The deadliest blizzard of modern times occurred in 1972 in this country. I remember hearing about this in my research. It was not Canada. It was not Russia. It was not the US. It is a country you would not typically associate with blizzards. What is a blizzard? A huge, huge snowstorm. Like a massive, massive snowstorm. So not Finland. It was not Mexico, not France, not India. Okay, your hint is that it is a country in Asia. It is a country in Asia. It is not Japan. It's a country in Asia you would not associate with blizzards. Not Tanzania, not Switzerland, not Nepal, not Japan, not Mongolia. It is not in East Asia. Not Pakistan, Tom, but you're getting closer. Not Thailand. I don't think they have blizzards in Thailand. It was Iran. Good job to DR. About 4,000 people died in the 1972 blizzard in Iran. I remember reading about that when I was researching the Elborz region because it snows a lot there. And yeah, reading about that horrible, horrible blizzard. All right, this next category is rulers and leaders. Rulers and leaders. King Louis the 16th of France loved oysters. How many do you think he ate just before his wedding? Does the snack help distract him from pre-wedding jitters? How many oysters did King Louis the 14th of France eat before his wedding? It was more than 100. More than 100. I don't know. I'm like good at like 3. I'm tapped out around there. It was 400 oysters, Luigi. Good job. He ate 400 oysters. Oh gosh. I hope it was flavored at least. Let me see. Oh, that's one of these is not. Can you tell me, speaking of kings, what killed King Henry I of England? Yeah, it'd really be like too much. The Glutton King. But Paris is landlocked. You can get oysters nearby. It was not a hunting accident, not that king. How much space do 400 oysters take? That is a lot. It was kind of a stomach issue. He did die of stomach issues. It was the fish dinner. Yes, I'm assuming your name is Neil. I'm going to call you Neil. If not, let me know. He ate too many lampreys and passed away from that. He ate too many fish. My goodness. So slow down your eating, folks. Slow down. This one's very easy. Can you tell me what was the nickname of Queen Mary I, who ruled England from 1553 to 1558? What was her historical nickname? It was Bloody Mary, of course. Good job to DR for getting that first. Everyone knows Bloody Mary. My goodness. All right. There's a lot of facts on this page, and this one is a which one isn't. Should we do a which one isn't? No, I don't like that one. Entertainment. If you've joined us, I'm reading from this incredible history trivia book. Entertainment. Oh, this is one of my favorite books. It says, when recording the audiobook of his novel, Charlotte's Web, author E.B. White had to try 17 times before he was able to successfully record Charlotte's death scene. What was the problem? Spoiler alert, Charlotte dies in Charlotte's Web. She's a spider. Shout out Heather Feather. I don't think she's still making content, right? That's an OG. He was crying too much. Good job, DR. It says, and millions of fans who've read White's tearjerker of a story can relate. The last time I read Charlotte's Web, it was to a kid as a bedtime story, so we read it over a few days, you know? And when we got to Charlotte's death, he was so unfazed, and he was like, oh, okay, good night. And then I, like, closed the door to his bedroom and just, like, sobbed. Like, oh. Gosh. Yeah. I think it hits you more when you're a grown-up than a kid. Heather Feather was one of the original ASMR creators back in the day. Original creators. What movie made the most money of all time when adjusted for inflation? No way, Luigi. That's crazy. Heather Feather uploaded yesterday. Oh. Did you guys see that Allie uploaded too? Like, all the OGs are coming back. And it was Gone with the Wind. Good job to DR for getting that first. Adjusted for inflation, it was Gone with the Wind. Goodness. This one's very vague, but DR just watched the opening sequence last night. I love Gone with the Wind. I have a cat named after little Bonnie Blue. I love Gone with the Wind. It's only because he wouldn't let me name her. My brother-in-law wouldn't let me name her Scarlet because he hates Scarlett O'Hara. But I was like, "What about Bonnie Blue then?" And he's like, "That's fine." So, yeah, I need to see Heather Feather and yeah, Allie. From like what was that space role play? She uploaded the other day. Crazy. Yeah, Bonnie Blue is Scarlett O'Hara's daughter in Gone with the Wind. I promise. Hello, Default Dave. All right, this one is very vague. It doesn't give you any hints. It says something important in entertainment history occurred in October 1958. Actually, you know what? Melanie's actress only died 3 years ago? No way, that's crazy. Wow. I'll give you, okay, first of all, this is way too vague. I'm going to rephrase it. The answer is it was the first video game. Can you tell me what was the first video game? Invented in October 1958. What was the first video game? What was the first? It was Pong. Good job to L. Pong was invented in 1958. Pong. That's crazy. Not ping pong, just Pong. Just Pong. All right, let me see. Exploration. Before she was lost trying to become the first woman to fly around the globe, pilot Amelia Earhart accomplished many feats in the air. One of these was becoming the first person to fly from Hawaii to California. What tasty treat do you think she enjoyed while on this flight? What did Amelia Earhart have as a treat on the first person to fly from Hawaii to California? It was not a cake, not an apple either, not a fruit, it doesn't have to do with Hawaii or California either. Not a fruit, so not a banana. It was not popcorn. That would be nice, I think, flying an airplane, but it was not a pineapple. No, it's not a fruit, Luigi. It was not a fruit. Fudge is getting close, Angeline. It was something chocolatey, but it wasn't fudge. It was something chocolatey. Something chocolatey. Not just chocolate. What form of chocolate did she eat? Or should I say drink? Hey, Zoe's here. Hey, Zoe. It was not cookies. A split. It was not a banana split. It was not a Snickers bar. It was not a candy bar. It was not a candy bar. It was not kisses. It was hot chocolate. Good job, Luigi. She drank hot chocolate on her flight from Hawaii to California. Good night, JJ. Have a good sleep. This says physicist Stephen Hawking held a party in 2009. I know, more hot chocolate. Stephen Hawking held a party in 2009, but he didn't send out the invitations until after the party was over. Who was he hoping would show up? Honoring the Aztec before going against. It was not Steve Jobs. It wasn't a specific person. He was trying to invite people. What people was he trying to invite? Time travelers. Good job to Night Supremacist. Time travelers, yes. And he is in the files. I mean, he was so rude to my friend's husband. Stephen Hawking was like so rude to my friend's husband one time. Almost ran him over with his scooter. Like, screw that guy. Anyway. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not going to do this one because it's a number and it's literally astronomically large. But it was about Apollo 13 flew to the far side of the moon, and it says the farthest humans have ever been from Earth. But that has changed as of last week. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. These other ones are very easy. It was not at Berkeley, no. I'm going to give you an easy one. It's also about space. It says on April 12th, 1961, Russian pilot Yuri Gagarin became the first human to do what? Go Artemis. Yes, they're going to be landing soon, I think. Yeah, amazing. Space. He was the first person to fly into space. It says Gagarin was the world's first human space traveler. Before him was a dog named Laika and a chimpanzee named Ham. Gosh, we never talk about Ham, do we? We always talk about Laika. How can I rephrase this so that it's not this easy? R.I.P. Laika. Can you tell me who in March 2012 climbed into his one-man submarine and plunged 11 kilometers to the floor of the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench? Besides being a deep sea explorer, he's also a very famous Hollywood person. It was James Cameron. Good job, Luigi. That would be James Cameron. True or false? Oh, that's the last page. Okay. We sailed through those. Let me go back and do the ones I skipped. Which ones did I skip? Yeah, James Cameron is actually a deep sea diving expert. He is, after the Titan submersible took out the most famous Titanic expert, James Cameron is now the world's foremost Titanic expert. Isn't that wild? Let's see. There's some numbers ones I skipped. I skipped over. Oh, the president's ones I skipped over. All right. The Abyss 1989. Yes, that's true. James Cameron looked at you once. I'm sorry. It must have been awful. Gosh, I can imagine. Yeah. Anyway, can you give me, and this is a number, this is a percentage, so it's between 1 and 100. How many Americans can name the first 4 presidents in order, according to a 2007 survey by the U.S. Mint? What percentage of Americans can name the first 4 U.S. presidents in order? Is actually more than 6. Actually more than 6. 1%. You'd think that would be the answer. It is less than 11%, though. Definitely less than 30%, Zoe. Also, who can? I'm sure DR can. DR's American. Who can name the first 4 U.S. presidents? Here. I think like everyone knows number 1, right? Less than 10%. Fantastic answers, right? Less than 10%. Less than 10%. It is 7%. Good job to Dave. When was this? This was a survey from 2007. Only 7% of Americans can name the first 4 U.S. presidents. Who here can name the first 4 U.S. presidents? Nowadays, it must be 1%. That's so true. Who was the first president? Said Fish Dave, taking my shine. Good night, Neil. Thank you so much. All right, night is already wrong. George Washington was number 1. Thomas Jefferson was number 3. John Adams was number 2. Now you're not in that 7%. George Washington was number 1. John Adams number 2. Thomas Jefferson number 3. Who was number 4? Who was the 4th U.S. president? Who was the 4th U.S. president? There's also a fact here saying that this was also the shortest U.S. president at 5'4", which is 1.6 meters tall. Some Hamilton character? Probably. You do get a pass if you're not American. It's a very obscure president. It was James Madison, sorry. Good job, Sister Iris and Zedfish. James Madison, James Madison, James Madison. All right. All right, I have to rephrase this. Martin Van Buren, who was the 8th president, by the way, had 2 baby animals. What were they? He had 2 baby animals. Congress made him send them to the zoo because they were not safe to keep around. What 2 baby animals did Martin Van Buren own as pets? They were not monkeys, not primates. They were not primates. BRB, says DR. See you soon. He owned 2 baby animals. Oh, not lions. They were cats, though. They were cats, but they weren't lions. Congress made him send them to the zoo. They were tigers. Martin Van Buren was the 8th U.S. president. He owned 2 tiger cubs. Goodness. Because this question was, which of these were not White House pets? And then it was all of them, because freaking Teddy Roosevelt owned his own zoo. I'm going to rephrase this one too. Can you tell me, what did Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy all have in common? What do these 4 presidents have in common? Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy did not have a beard. Hands. Over 6 feet? No. Something happened to all 4 of those presidents. Were lawyers by training? Oh, gosh. They weren't related. I can't verify if they were lawyers. If they were all lawyers, I should say. They were all assassinated. Good job, Luigi, and Zoe, too. They were all killed while in office. All right, this one is bogus. I don't like this question. Okay, how about this? This is listed as a fact, but I'm going to turn it into a question. Who invented gingerbread men? That's okay, Luigi. As long as I know what you're trying to say, I don't care how you spell it. A very, very famous person in British history invented gingerbread men. That's your first hint. A very famous person, and it wasn't gingerbread women. They invented gingerbread men, specifically men. It was not Charles Dickens. Although it was a woman that invented them. So it was not Isaac Newton. Sounds like something he would have done, though. It was not Victoria. Do you know the Muffin Man? It was not Victoria. A very famous woman in British history invented gingerbread men. That's crazy. What a weird fact. It was not Ada Lovelace. She invented coding. She invented computer coding. It was Elizabeth I. Good job, Luigi. It says she invented gingerbread men when she came up with the idea of having cookies shaped and decorated to look like dignitaries in her court. That's wild. That's pretty wild. I'm trying to see if I could turn any of these others into questions. Okay, how about this? This is in the disasters and accidents section. On January 15th, 1919, something popped open in Boston, and 15 feet of it rushed down Commercial Street. It smashed elevated train tracks and ripped apart buildings. It killed 21 people and injured 150 more. What was it? It was the molasses. Good job, Zoe. It was I know there's a name for it. It's like the Great Molasses Flood or something like that. It says rescue and cleanup efforts were hindered by the thick, sticky molasses coating everything. How about this? In 1555, a man named Robert Calf was killed by what? Calf, C-A-L-F. Robert Calf. What was he killed by? There's a hint in his name. In 1557, a man named Robert Calf was killed by what? A bovine. Yes, he was mauled to death by a cow. I believe it's neither. Fresh, my goodness. How about this? Mess with the bull, you get the horns. That's so true. French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte may have lost the Battle of Waterloo because of this. Pain from the condition may have kept him awake the night before the fight, leaving him too tired the next day to give the orders that could have led the French to victory. What was it that Napoleon possibly was dealing with that kept him up all night, that made him lose Waterloo? It was not his stomach. Not his stomach. But you're on the right track, Luigi. It was a physical condition, not a toothache. Something embarrassing. Something that people probably wouldn't admit to having. Something painful. It wasn't in his guts. It was hemorrhoids. Good job, Luigi. Evidently, he had hemorrhoids. Oh, it says, but that's a lie, though. Oh, good to know. That has been disproven, according to Luigi. Yeah, I don't want that question. I can't. It was stomach problems. Good to know, Luigi. That is good for him. That it wasn't hemorrhoids. Okay, this is in the entertainment section. What was the first YouTube video titled? It was 18 seconds long, uploaded April 23rd, 2005, which is coming up. What was the first YouTube video called? Kelly, spare a fire, bro. It does involve the word zoo. Blank, 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 zoo. Trip to the zoo is very close. It was elephants in the video. Not visit to the zoo, not trip to the zoo. It was blank at the zoo. There it is. Tom's got it. Me at the zoo. Me at the zoo. It's kind of lame. How about this? An exploration. Matthew Henson and Robert Edwin Perry were the first people to reach what? In 1909, explorers Matthew Henson and Robert Edwin Perry became the first people to reach what? Not Antarctica. That would be Roald Amundsen. That was Roald Amundsen. It was the North Pole. Good job, Luigi. They are the first to reach the North Pole. All right, all that's left is the true or false section. How am I going to make this work? Okay, let me rephrase it then. What is the world's deadliest animal to other humans? On the Franklin expedition? I don't know what that is. I only take requests from channel members, so you have to be a channel member if you want me to make a video about a certain topic. Not humans. Like, what's besides humans? It is mosquitoes. Good job, Angeline. Mosquitoes are the deadliest creature to humans, apparently even more than other humans. Wow. Can you tell me which country dice were invented in? The oldest pair of dice were around 5,000 years old. What country were they discovered in? It was not Iraq, but you're in kind of the right area. It was Turkey. Good job, Tom. The oldest dice land. The oldest dice were found in Turkey. Okay, one more question. And then I'm going to head out because I finished this book. I thought this would take me the whole 2 hours, but here we are. I'll turn one more question into one more, at least true or false. Oop, I didn't show it, into a question. So thank you guys for joining me today. This was an interesting little book. Yeah, thank you for watching. Today I uploaded a video about Chechnya that I worked really hard on, so I'd appreciate it if you watch that. My next or tomorrow's video is also about Russia. I was supposed to have it uploaded this afternoon, but my computer was having issues, so I'm going to upload it right after I do this, so channel members will be able to watch it right as soon as it's processing after I finish trivia today. Everyone else will get to watch it tomorrow. And then next week, I'm starting a new series. I just filmed it. It's so good with this book, a new map by map book, and it's so good. You guys are going to love it. Be sure to check that out on Monday, okay? Channel members will probably get to see it tomorrow, though. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Your last question is, can you tell me why t-shirts were originally invented? Why is it not nice? It's just archaic. It's just, they're very old-timey. A lot of countries aren't LGBT friendly because they're very conservative or very traditional. That's just all it is to it. Why were t-shirts originally invented? Give me a guess. I'll give you a hint because it's kind of specific. T-shirts were invented for a purpose. Why were t-shirts invented? Not specifically for sports, but they were invented for men, right? Not to protect from the sun. They were invented for men who weren't able to do some things. People without fingers could wear it. You know what, Knight? You're kind of on the right track. You're kind of on the right track. T-shirts were invented for men because men typically, gosh, how do I say it without giving it away? To protect shirts now. Because think, how would men fasten their shirts before, right? Before t-shirts, how would men put on their shirts to keep them on, to help them fit? What would they use? This is kind of strange. Trying to turn this true false question into a regular question. T-shirts were invented for men specifically, obviously. Because typically men aren't able to perform this action. How's that? Typically men can't perform, or at least back then, probably even more so now because t-shirts exist. They weren't able to do this. What was it? What was it? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Take a guess. I'll give you a hint. Take a guess. I'll give you a hint. Button their shirts. There we go. Angeline's got it. It was because most men didn't know how to sew on buttons if their buttons fell off. So they invented shirts that didn't need buttons. My goodness. I'll give that to Angeline. Good job. All right. I am off to go make dinner for my family. I just realized. Okay. Was my mic on at all? Did I sound really quiet? Wait. This whole stream. That's hilarious. It says, oh, I can't tell. I'd have to end the stream to find out if my microphone was actually on. Goodness. Okay. Either way, thanks for hanging out. I am heading out. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Okay. Angeline says they can hear me. Okay. Good. Bye, you guys.